Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Saints welcoming in the Bucs, who've actually been in town since Tuesday for a big divisional showdown in the Dome. But the big story is the Saints have a new quarterback. We're talking about it with Luke Johnson, who covers the black and gold for The Advocate. He joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how are we doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
I didn't think you were going to say you were doing great because the Brewers aren't playing anymore.
Well, that's just become an annual rite of passage for
It
me.
really has.
Which, by the way, if you haven't put money on the Mets to win the NL pennant yet, go ahead and do it. Because every year the Brewers have been eliminated, literally in their entire history. The team that eliminated them went on to win the pennant. So.
Well, the Mets are just a steamroller right now. It is. It perplexes me a lot because the Cubs can't keep up in the regular season, and I don't find that acceptable. And then the Brewers get to the postseason and can't win, and that's weird too. And it just makes me mad, even though there's a little bit of joy in the fact that the Brewers don't move on because the Cubs can't keep up.
A 2-run lead with like an all-world closer in the ninth inning. You got 2 outs left, and they blow it. Come on, man.
It's sad, but back to work for you. Back to football. Look, let's talk about Spencer Rattler being named the quarterback. That's obviously the story more so than the loss in Kansas City. Saints are going to get a look at a rookie signal caller. What went into the decision to make him the guy?
Well, look, I think to me when I look at this, it makes sense, right? That Jake Haener was the number 2 for the first 5 games of the season, because I think if you're looking for a guy on the team who is going to be able to come in and execute the game plan that was put in place for Derek Carr, I think it makes a lot of sense that would be Jake Haener. But as soon as they knew that Derek wasn't going to be available this week, you're looking at 2 quarterbacks. One has a high floor, Jake Haener. I think he can execute an offense, and I think he's really smart and accurate. He processes the field really well. And then you got the high ceiling guy in Spencer Rattler. And I think just considering everything that they're going through right now in this roster with injuries up front, injuries of the skill position players, injuries on defense, I think the high ceiling guy makes a lot more sense. Especially when you can just kind of craft the game plan around the strengths that he has. As soon as word went out that Derek was going to be out, I thought it was a possibility, and then it's like 10 minutes later, everybody's saying, "Well, Spencer Rattler's an option." It makes complete sense.
So let's talk about his game. You haven't seen a ton, but we saw some training camp and then some preseason action. What do you think they will try to get done with him?
Well, I mean, I think the vertical passing game is still going to be there. He throws a really, really great deep ball. And, it's not just the deep balls, but he can throw the ball to the sidelines. He can throw those corner routes. I think that's all part of it. I think he's probably the most mobile quarterback on the roster. He's not like a dual threat guy per se, but he's a guy who can throw on the move. He can throw off platform. You can use the bootleg game with him, and he can give you a little bit as a scrambler. He kind of reminds me like a smaller version of early career Aaron Rodgers. Where he can give you a couple scrambles a game where he's picking up 8-9 yards, he's converting the first down, but he's not going to be that's not going to be a huge part of his game. The areas where he kind of struggled, especially early after he was drafted, he was a little late on some of his reads, throwing the ball a little bit late, and that it kind of cost him with some camp turnovers. But I think he got a lot better as everything progressed. He's still, he's a 5th-round rookie. He's still a little inconsistent, but the talent is obvious. And we'll see what kind of game plan the Saints are able to put together. I mean, it's going to be tough because they don't have a functioning offensive line right now, and I think that's going to hurt him a lot more in the fact that they haven't been able to run the ball. But if they can give him a little time, I think he's got the talent to get the ball to the receivers, which is important.
This is kind of the way that I'm framing it. You mentioned that the offensive line's been porous. Rashid Shaheed didn't practice on Wednesday. Olave was MIA in Kansas City. They haven't run the ball fantastically since the offensive line went out. It doesn't feel to me to be a super advantageous spot to toss an NFL debut into the mix. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah. This is about as bad as it can get, right? If you're a rookie quarterback, you don't want to be going into a situation where the offensive line is a mess. You can't run the ball, and then you're going up against a defensive coordinator who's known for his kind of exotic, aggressive blitz packages. I mean, it's going to be tough sledding for him. I mean, if he goes out there and has a really good game against Tampa, that means he had a really good game. I mean, it's because the situation around him is really not good right now. I mean, you're probably going to be without 2 or 3 starters on the offensive line. You're going to be without pretty much your second best runner in Taysom Hill probably. I mean, it's tough. It's a bad situation, but like if he goes out and balls, then you know you got something in him.
What are the chances of that? I mean, you're talking about a fifth rounder here. Most quarterbacks in the NFL, the vast majority of them are high first round picks, and you've got your Brock Purdy's sprinkled throughout the league with Kirk Cousins kind of and maybe Dak Prescott, but it's not all that common. I mean, what are the odds that he comes out and really asserts himself?
Just because of all the reasons I laid out, I think it's probably not likely. It's just a really tough situation, but and I think he would have really benefited from sitting and developing because he's like obviously got talent. And I think the Saints have a good offensive scheme, one that kind of suits his skill set. And they've got some good players on offense, but just like this is not an ideal time to drop him in there. Their run game has really, really struggled, and this scheme is like completely dependent on it. Everything they do is based off of how well they run the ball. You look at their 2 worst games offensively this season against Kansas City and Philadelphia. I mean, those were the 2 games their run game was completely shut down. And you've seen their passing, their play action passing numbers take a dip. You've seen their screen numbers take a dip. So I mean, for him to go out there and have a really good game, I think it would really tell me they have something special in him because this situation is just really abysmal for a rookie quarterback to be dropped into.
Let's talk about the other side of the ball. Kansas City had a lot of yards. They didn't score a lot of points. How did you think the defense performed?
I mean, not good enough. The red zone defense was really good. It's been really good all year. It's kind of crazy to think about the fact that the Saints are a game under 500 and they've allowed 6 touchdowns in 5 games. But there's too many things right now that are correctable mistakes that they just keep making. Whether it's like coverage busts or guys like slipping and falling like Tyrann Mathieu did on the 50-yard pass at Juju Smith-Schuster in the fourth quarter. Guys missing tackles. This is stuff that's just kind of continuously plaguing them. So in a way, I think that stuff is fixable, and they're going to be a pretty good defense down the stretch. But they've got to fix that stuff. They can't let teams just kind of control the ball and go on these long drives, even if those drives end in 3 points. I mean, that disrupts the rhythm of the offense and gives you less chances at it. And I think they can be better, but they've got to get it turned around. And the good thing is they're still fairly healthy on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they're going to be without a couple guys this week, but I think they could go out and have a decent game Sunday against Tampa to help Rattler out a little bit.
How do you think they match up with Tampa? Baker's usually been pretty good over the last year and a half.
I think they match up well. You look at what Tampa excels at. They have really good skill position players on the outside. But their offensive line has been, outside of Tristan Wirfs, has been kind of shaky this year. I don't think their run game is anything special. So that those players on the outside match up with the Saints' strength, and that's their own playmakers on the outside. And then, for all the times they couldn't get Patrick Mahomes on the ground last week, I think they still did well up front and putting pressure on him. So, I think that could be an advantage for the Saints this week as well. The problem with Baker Mayfield is that he's a little slippery. He killed them last year in the Superdome on 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, all these 3rd and longs he kept converting because he get out of pressure and find a guy downfield. Like they got to make plays on him this year, like kind of like they did in the second game of last year. Like if they can avoid him extending plays, I think they're in really good shape this week.
Everybody knows how vital this year is for the current Saints, and it's kind of teetering right now. How bad would a loss be on Sunday?
Well, it'd be bad. Like there's no way around that, right? They'd be 2-4. They would have lost 4 straight. They got another short week coming up against the Broncos team that's been pretty good, especially on defense. They'd be sending a rookie quarterback against what has been one of the best defenses in the NFL, and you could see a path for them going 2-5 to start. And obviously, like you look at the way this division shaped out over the last couple of years, it's been one game deciding things for the Saints. They've lost it on tiebreakers. So like these games are hugely important. It's important to end this skid that they're on, and really set themselves up to where this back half of the schedule, which is easy, where they can make that relevant. But when you look at the last couple of years, it's like they kind of hit this swoon in the middle of the season when they're dealing with all these injuries. They're unable to kind of overcome those. And then by the back half of the year, they have to like go on this crazy winning streak to even have a chance. They can't put themselves in that position again. So, this is a huge game, even though they've got the opportunities at the back half of the year to put some wins together. I mean, you can't let this thing kind of snowball and get out of control.
What do you think the Dome's going to be like on Sunday?
That's a good question. I mean, the last time we were there, they were playing the Eagles, and it was a great atmosphere. But 3 losses in a row, I think, have kind of dampened the atmosphere. I think there's going to be some excitement for Spencer Rattler. I know a big chunk of the fan base is really looking forward to seeing him. But at the same time, I mean, some of that kind of apathy that's been around here for the last couple of years is starting to creep back in. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like on Sunday.
Enjoy the football Sunday, Luke. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.